Well, here we are. Yet another Nostalgia Critic video for me to react to. And that's right, you read the title, you know exactly what it is that I'm reacting to this time, that the Nostalgia Critic, Doug, is reviewing. And that, of course, being the first Hoodwinked film. You've been hoodwinked, baby! Yeah, Hoodwinked, jeez, what a movie this is, animated fairy tale feature film, with, the worst, CG, but, I don't know. I mean, I don't see really anything bad to the CG animation into this. It's just, the way that this movie is done, and the style and look that this has. And, the filmmakers of Hoodwinked, their attempt on this, making this look like stop motion-y, as well as, in the realm of Rankin and Bass, like how the stop motion animation in anything Rankin Bass looks. And I'm sure you know this. Even I've seen, like, say, the history of, what went down into the making of Hoodwink from Electric Dragon 505. And if any of you know the history and the making of Hoodwink, besides, like, say, watching, say, as I mentioned, Animat's video going in the, history of what went down into the first Hoodwink film, as well as its sequel. Yeah, we sadly know how the sequel turned out. I mean, at least the animation in the Hoodwink sequel didn't look that bad, But again, something about the first Hoodwink film, with its story, its style, its look, and with that animation, just, I'm sure you get my point. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, another mentioning on Animat, because I would think so too. Being Hoodwink being one of the, well, that of course being the first Hoodwink film, being the best fairy tale spoof since Shrek, like right there next to Shrek, and how Animat specifically said it. I would think so too, wouldn't you? Because yeah, the first Hoodwink film especially was a pretty good, decent fairy tale spoof, and well, after Shrek, other animation studios, like, doing their own fairy tale spoofs, and, well, Hoodwink being one of them. And I'd also like to point out, I kind of technically seen the Nostalgia Critic video of his review of Hoodwink, but that was a long time ago. And I think maybe I've only seen a few bits and pieces of it. I don't know. And, well, when I knew that I would do a reaction to it, even then, because, yeah, of course, I haven't seen it. You get my point. I've said this before, but yeah. I can't remember, because I'm pretty sure I might remember and do know that maybe Doug, as the Nostalgia Critic, might have some positive things to say on the first Hoodwink film. But yeah. And, perfect timing reacting to this, seeing as how, yeah, the film is celebrating its anniversary, Yeah. Here's another thing. I didn't get to experience seeing Hoodwink in theaters. Yeah. I do remember when it came out, seeing the TV promotions and so on, mostly on Cartoon Network. And when watching it, say, on Cartoon Network, yeah, because, watching Hoodwink on Cartoon Network, my memories of seeing and watching the first Hoodwink film on Cartoon Network was literally, like, I think 2 or 3 times I was watching it on the day that me and my parents, we were packing up and getting ready to head to Disney World. Yeah. So on the day of when, like, me and my parents, we were packing up and getting ready for Disney, we were getting up very early in the morning. That's when, like, I had Cartoon Network up, and that's when, yeah, Hoodwink was on, but yeah. And then when, say, getting a DVD copy of it, and even the sequel. And say what you will about the sequel to Hoodwink, Hoodwink 2, Hood versus Evil, I didn't think it was that bad. I liked it. Sure, of course, it's not the best, but still, we're entitled to our opinions on certain movies. And that, of course, goes for me and you. But anyways, so enough said, and without further ado, let us see what the Nostalgia Critic has to say on his review of the first Hoodwinked film. Beginning in 3, 2, 1, go.
This episode brought to you by Chime, the award-winning app and debit card that can save you money today.
All right. And an old intro, of course. I think I've brought this up before in past reactions I've done. Which would be your favorite intro of the Nostalgia Critics? Would this be one of them, or another one? Yeah. As the show has gone on, like, the intros have gotten better looking and so on.
Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic guy. Remember it so you don't have to. Guess a lot of people have opinions about this.
Yeah. Me too, and as I've talked about at the start of this reaction.
There's movies most people can agree on, either being really good or a cinematic proctology disappointment. But then there's movies like Hoodwinked that people seem to be all over the map on. Released in 2005, the film played off the popular trope of retelling fairy tales from a different point of view. A lot of people were even calling this a rip-off Shrek at the time, but really it was a pretty popular trope even before then. I've heard everything from people loving this movie to people despising it, and I don't know, thought it was okay.
Yeah.
Alright, admittedly, I did not have any interest in seeing this movie because, look at it. I like to say this looks like a direct-to-video film today, but let's be honest, you'd buy it on video, look at the quality, and throw it in the dollar bin immediately after buying it. This is one of the cheapest-looking animated films released on the big screen. Clearly, there was little money put into it, aside from a few kind of big names at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But after a friend told me there were surprisingly a few laughs in it, I checked it out, and that sums it up. There's plenty of cringy moments, too, but for a movie that clearly didn't have much of a budget, I think it did well for the little it had. There's a lot of weirdness to talk about, so let's jump right into it.
All right.
This is going to age well and not age well at the same time. Hoodwinked. The movie opens with a narrator, played by David Ogden Stiers, starting this exactly how you think a film like this would start, saying you don't know the real story of Little Red Riding Hood.
It's just like they always say. You can't judge a book
By its cover.
Okay, here's a perfect example of why this film isn't lazy, it's just cheap. You could have just opened the book to a picture from the film and it starts. No one would complain. But it's a pop-up book. You fly into the pop-up book, and the pop-up book slowly becomes reality. That is trying harder than a film with this budget needs to, and little moments like that do add up. With that said, yeah, it does look like Elf Bowling 5.
Is everything okay?
Yeah, sure thing. Come on in.
We see Red
You had
Riding
to
Hood
compare it
by
with
Anne
that,
Hathaway.
really, Doug.
After these, but before these, so she wasn't quite the megastar yet. And
Yeah.
she approaches the big bad wolf, played by Patrick Warburton. Warburton's one of my favorite voices to listen to. His delivery is unlike any other. And imagining him doing this old
Don't we
lady
all
voice in a
enjoy him, you
recording
know, his
booth is
great
kinda my
voice
everything.
acting.
Who are you?
I'm your grandma. Now come on over here. Let's have
Oh,
a
look at
picture.
you.
I don't know. He could pass for a drunk B. Arthur.
What big hands you have.
All the better to scratch my back with.
What big ears you have.
All the better to hear your many criticisms.
That's a really good line.
All right.
He reveals himself just as a tied-up granny in the closet jumps out, and the hunter bursts in.
And we get our title.
Spot for the title, but I guess we are randomly stealing Roger Rabbit's font, so it's kind of a random moment. The police are
Yeah, it's in that
called by
same
the
style
narrator,
as, like, the
Detective
Roger Rabbit
Nicky
logo.
Flickers.
Well, son,
But
why
nothing
am I
intentional, I
living on
guess.
the wrong side of the cave?
I'll give credit, an amphibian walking a dog is the only thing that can out-weird this concept. And if you're like me, you thought this movie was dead on arrival with this joke.
Why do they call you Flippers?
Because of that. His
No reason.
You know the
Dancing.
phrase disco's dead? Disco jokes should follow. So the film is sort of a play on Rashomon. Rashomon, I don't know, I should let them make the corny jokes. Each suspect is called into a room to tell their side of the story, starting with Red.
Here's a story I hope you'll like.
I didn't realize
At
it
the
that
start, this isn't a good musical. Not because
Based
the
off
song
of
is
Rashomon.
particularly bad, but because I completely forgot this was a musical. Any film that makes me forget that did something wrong.
Can someone show me a different day?
Flippers.
Up to food fight you go. Oh, I can't say that their pupils at least move in this movie.
Oh, nice outfit.
Flipper's dog
Always
does have a
read with you.
She
personality.
sees her friend named Boingo, a bunny played by Andy Dick. Remember him from Little Red Riding Hood? He did it.
Aren't you helping the
What?
muffin man today?
Someone took all his recipes.
And Andy Dick would be
Are you
in
still running
Happily
the
Never
cable?
After.
His detailed
Yeah, if I'm
backstory
saying the title
emphasizes
right.
more how little he plays into some master plan. Not really, anyone could be the villain in this. She knows there's a bunch of businesses going out of business because of a goody bandit stealing a lot of places' recipes. Red is afraid her granny, played by Glenn Close, might have her recipe stolen next, but she's not too worried about it.
Please, dear, you just keep the recipes there and everything will be fine.
Yeah, keep the fear where it should be, like on this creepy hellbird.
You can't go away. Who's gonna ride the goodie bike?
I'm just a kid.
I'm just the woodpecker.
If Uncanny
What a
Valley had an
woodpecker.
animatronic, he'd be the little bird on the shoulder. Red decides to take the hidden recipes from her home to Granny's, assuming they'll be safer there, which isn't exactly the greatest hiding place. It's kind of like taking the first drawing of Mickey Mouse from the Disney Museum to Disney's house. I think someone's gonna look there. And she runs into Boingo operating a cable car.
They're gonna shut down everyone in the forest if we're not careful.
Your hints to him being evil are about as subtle as a guy named Doom being a villain. She lands okay, but she runs into the wolf who wants her recipes.
You can't hold on to those recipes forever.
My
I'll
off-screen
get you and
fall
your
save
great
on
too.
animation can only go so far.
But we don't arrest people for being creepy.
Yeah, Bruce. You know that guy we got in the tank?
The creepy one?
Yeah, better let him go.
I was wondering why I haven't seen him in a bit. She makes her way to a goat who by far has the best design.
Well, it depends on the
And one of
creepiness
funnier
and what's
jokes
going
about why
on,
he
right?
always sings.
The mountain witch done put a spell on me 37 years ago. And now I gotta sing everything I say.
Still doesn't make it a good musical. Wait, what am I talking about? Hearing all the horns this thing has is incredibly important to the plot. With that said, though, these horns are pretty funny.
Yeah.
And my other horn
Jeb,
to be prepared.
did I Jeb the... No, wrong goat.
I don't think of any other animated film when a song sings "Be Prepared" over and over. I'll pretend you didn't show that.
But
He
the
takes her via minecart to a shortcut to Grandma's house. Clearly, the one in Looney Tunes was more efficient.
kids who
They literally go
watched
off the rails when
this
suddenly Granny
test
appears telling
screening,
her to
they
use her
liked the
hook.
goat. I was prepared!
No, really, I want a Mega Man-style game based on his horns. She makes it to Grandma's house, and everything we saw earlier takes place. They ask the wolf his side of the story, and again, Warburton really knows how to make a good line work.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Wolf?
I'm a shepherd.
God, that's funny.
Yeah.
It turns out
Of
he's
course.
a reporter going undercover to find the identity of the Goody Bandit.
More recipes go missing. The trail's gotten hotter.
He's not played by a real Black Wolf. I don't know what I'm supposed to be offended by anymore. He suspects Red might be moving the goodies for the bandit, so he has an accomplice follow her. I can't figure out if the animation on the sped-up character is really good or really bad.
Undercover, got it. Yeah, nobody sees, nobody knows.
Why not both?
Yeah.
He disguises himself as a sheep. Come on, you knew that was coming at some point. And he tries to get some information.
Who does she work for?
How should I know? I ain't that curious. The word in the herd is she's been known to take the cable car up the mountain.
Now I'm just wondering if the rest of the sheep in this herd look like the Sopranos. He encounters Red like before, but we find his attack was just a reaction to his tail getting caught.
Yeah.
At this point, you can put together a lot of the story is going to be playing off of what you just saw was motivated by something different. But the creative and outlandish ways they incorporate it is what makes it pretty fun.
Yes.
Plus, some of these lines really are great.
So, can we eat?
Sure. You hungry for failure?
Oh, you saw the Red Wave too? Boingo helps him get to Granny's, but not through the best shortcut.
Why couldn't I write movie reviews?
It's not always great. Finding the best spot for commercials can sometimes be
Nice. Oh, and I saw a clip of that, on the shorts, him yawning, so Bored, as it's titled. I'm sure you saw it too, but, okay. So, quick, timeout, because, and because I skipped the ad, we're up to 10 minutes, 35 seconds, and we have 8 minutes and 30 seconds left, So, first off, let me just say that, so far, he's had some positive things to say about, Hoodwinked. That's nice to see. But also, yeah, another thing is that, because I hate talking over Doug, I try my best not to, but when, he's not talking and letting clips play, the characters talk, yeah, that's when I would talk. I was just pointing out that what Doug said earlier about Nicky Flippers walking a dog, well, his dog does have a personality and actually writing down, I guess, the conversations that the characters say, and I'm sure you've seen that too. Any of you that have seen Hoodwinked, how can you have not seen Hoodwinked? Especially you that are my generation, but anyways. I gotta say, because one of my favorite characters from Hoodwink has to be the wolf. How can you not enjoy the wolf, especially, Patrick Warburton being the voice of the wolf? And also, the wolf is based off of Fletcher, however his name is specifically said. The character, the titled character that Chevy Chase plays. If any of you have seen that movie, I've seen it. Pretty good, yeah. Hilarious and awesome, yeah. A classic, of Chevy Chase's and from the 80s and so on, right next to the vacation films, most notably Christmas Vacation, yada yada, but yeah. And I'm pretty sure that, the same goes for me, because I was not aware at the time, and when watching Hoodwinked, that the wolf being based off of that Chevy Chase character, what the wolf does, exactly what Chevy Chase's character does, So, and now, having seen the movie and knowing all that, it's just one of those things like, holy crap, kind of mind-blowing. Those certain things that you don't understand at a young age, watching those animated films, what they've taken inspiration from and so on. But until you would see them, yeah, so... and I'm pretty sure that movie that Chevy Chase did, it probably definitely... If I would have been okay seeing it at a young age, probably. I'm just saying, because I'm pretty sure... You see, I'm gonna have to go back and look, because I don't seem to recall if it was R-rated. I don't know, but if you want to, you can let me know in the comments section, but I'm still gonna check it out, so, yeah. Anyways. Okay, but also, yeah, because this just now popped in my head, and before I continue, time back in, because, the thing that Doug said earlier, because, there being songs in Hoodwinked, well, what you would expect in some of those early animated films in the early 2000s. Well, hey, Shrek as well, Shrek and Hoodwink, them being fairy tale spoofs, and they would have songs, so, yeah. But I don't know, I don't hate any of the songs in Hoodwinked. I think they're pretty good. They're okay. Maybe not the best, but still, not to mention that one of the... Edward brothers, I think, yeah, that's their last name. One of them, they wrote all the songs. Yeah, so, but, okay, anyways. Alright, now time back in.
I don't know who you are.
I guess I could have let that play, but you know what, because I've gotten so used to skipping them, just, nothing intentional. Doug does put a lot of effort in those sponsors,
was on, but accidentally blows it up.
Wow, that's nice and bright. What kind of candles are those?
Must be Italian.
We'll get enough Christmas story callbacks with this, thank you. They get out okay and make it to Grandma's house.
That explains why Red and the Goats flew in the air.
I'm sorry, but
because of the dynamite.
Creative.
Is everything okay?
Yeah, sure thing.
Again, everything goes as before, and they bring in the hunter, played by Jim Belushi, to tell his side of the story.
I can do the cowboy accent.
Howdy, partner.
I apologize to the bird earlier. This is clearly the scariest character in the movie.
Oh, come on.
Clown from outer space without the makeup.
How dare you? That's a bad comparison. That's a mean one.
What are you, some kind of German pirate or something? We'll look at your tape and we'll give you a call, okay? Thanks for coming in. Have a nice night.
Gex was a bitter director after his video game career never took off. He doesn't get the role, so he goes back
nice
to
mentioning
his
on
job driving a
Gex.
schnitzel truck.
Does anybody know Gex? Like, maybe some of you have not played the games, but maybe you have heard of him.
We Happy Few, correct? Again, this film would totally fall apart if this musical number wasn't included. They were told to add songs at the last minute, weren't they? Nobody will make it if it's not a musical, huh? Hey Frank, you remember that schnitzel song we made up when we were drunk? Put on sheet music, will you? His truck is robbed.
No, I don't think so. They were not
having
added at the last minute.
Suspects dwindling down.
Maybe someday somebody will open up a great big goodie shop and we can all work for that little guy.
It'll be called Schnitzspicious. He gets called back to the audition, so he trains harder to become a convincing woodsman. He messes up cutting down a tree, though, and runs to hide. Where else? At Grandma's house.
I think it's safe to say that our thespian friend here knows the least about anything of anyone in this room.
We arguably could have just cut this from the film, but we got high and started doing funny voices with Jim Belushi, so we animated it. Granny's the last one called in and gives maybe not the best intro line.
The only crime I've ever committed is making my goodies unlawfully delicious.
Grandma's cookies wishes her goodies were as buttery sweet as mine. She reveals she's
I think I might have had those cookies. Pretty good.
X tattoo, but with cheese, that really cracks me up. And she kept it from Red the whole time. She even enters a snowboarding competition.
You be careful, Granny Pocket. Old ladies get hurt on these slopes.
We got an insulting enough accent with Belushi. I will say this is probably the best animation in the film. Yeah, it's clearly not Disney or DreamWorks, but there is some real life to it. It has a lot of energy.
Yep.
She gets thrown off a cliff, but she manages to save herself, still win the competition, and take out the people who tried to axe her. She
Yeah.
then runs into Red while parachuting.
And the avalanche that we saw earlier, from Red's point of view.
Oh, she wasn't flying. The animators just didn't have enough money to animate the parachute. This is making so much more sense now. But how'd she get wrapped up in the closet?
That.
That is so dumb. I think it's the biggest laugh I got in the play.
I was about to say, because surely that is
Saw
funny.
before, but Red feels betrayed
And all
because
the
she has to
stories are
save all
finished.
the
We now
delivery
know.
girl, while Granny goes out thrill seeking.
I've never even been outside the forest. Don't you think I want more than that?
Of course you do. You're a bucket.
Hey, PG rating? Oh wait, that means you can get away with one.
Puckett.
She still feels
Come on.
betrayed, which, yeah, is a little weak, seeing how the bandit is still out there, and I guess we need to mope for a little bit rather than go look for him. But even then, they sneak in a good joke here and there.
Hey, look, it's Little Red.
No, it's just some kid.
She's not wearing the red hood.
There she goes.
Man, this is a place where everyone would fall for Superman's disguise.
Yeah.
She sees someone steal
Exactly.
her recipes, and yeah, I love how they reveal this like it's carrots sauce. Even the 2-year-olds had this figured out.
And bring in a police cartoonist. No, make it a cartoonist.
Dude, again, this film's trying much harder than it needs to. Another bit of animation that goes the extra mile is when the wolf gives the squirrel coffee to make him go even faster.
Go get him, boy.
Again, in a film where the big
What
picture
have
looks
I done?
cheap, the little touches can really save the day. Red follows Boingo to his cable car headquarters, but she gets captured.
You're hopping up and down.
The bunny trail.
Is this like song?
Your ears are too tall.
These leave so little an impact on me. As you'd guess, he sings about opening his own business, stealing everyone's recipes, and am I insane, or is that the Dragon Ball Z font? Ha! We don't need to stop him. Japan's insane copyright claims will take him down.
I don't know.
You've
Been hoodwinked, baby!
That's the title of the movie. They're gonna put
Roll
her up
credits.
in the cable car, but Granny and the others sneak in to try and get her out. As you'd imagine, all their talents come into play. Even Red's ability to talk to birds. Yeah, what was her thing again? Oh, escape artist. Yeah, sure. We got like 5 minutes left. Granny and her get out together, and the bandits are caught by the cops. And you know, how am I supposed to take this line?
Not prison. Not for a cute little bunny rabbit.
The same way he's gonna take whatever happens to him in prison. Okay, I'm thinking too hard about it. Not in that way.
You were really something up there.
I take after my granny.
I lie about everything. Everything. Like when people ask me what
What
happened
the-
here, it's gonna be way different.
What the heck just happened? I don't know what happened, but apparently it just buffered and then just... I don't know. Great. Not what I expected, and just going to be more difficult. That just adds more difficult for me when it comes to, editing and, syncing in the videos in the corner and with the audio. You get my point. Anyways. All right, let's go back. Let's go back a few notches. Like, maybe. Wait a minute. How about right here where Doug is? Yeah, his face. All right. Let's continue. Sorry about that, but out of my hands. Like, it's just one of those things, so.
The same way he's gonna take whatever happens to him in prison. Okay, I'm thinking too hard about it. Not in that way.
You were really something up there.
I take after my granny.
I lie about everything. Like when people ask me what happened here, it's gonna be way different. Everyone has a happily ever after. In fact, they even try to build a sequel around it.
There's a lot of stories out there that need a happy ending. I'm part of a secret organization that makes sure that happens.
How'd that fare out? Well, this one's okay.
Yeah.
I guess I can see how someone wouldn't be into it with its awkward animation and occasional joke that misses. And yeah, similar ideas have been done before, but I really do give credit to this film for what does work. Despite the obvious low budget, you can tell everyone is doing the best with what they have. The actors, the writers, and yes, even occasionally the animation. I don't think it's anything great, but there's way too many good things in it to say it's bad. I honestly think it's an okay film for kids that's given just enough creativity and decent humor for adults. I guess people are all over the map with it, but for me, I think it's a good enough time.
Yeah.
I'm a nostalgia critic guy, remember? So you don't have to.
See you next time, Doug. And the closing audio clip.
Making my goodies unlawfully delicious.
Okay.
Hey everybody,
Alright, so the charity shout-out as always. Okay, so that was the Nostalgia Critics review of the first Hoodwinked film. Yeah, what was it that I'm looking for to say? Should have expected, what he was gonna say, reviewing the first Hoodwinked film. Like, yeah, it's understandable, because there's nothing really bad about it, but still, with what Doug had to say, well, couldn't have said it better myself. And yeah, because the mentioning of the sequel, because yeah, again, and as I talked about at the at the start of this reaction, because we all know how the first Hoodwinked film, the second one I meant, we know how the sequel turned out, sadly, and yeah, but like I said, I didn't think it was that bad. I didn't hate it. Sure, it's not the best. But, again, I didn't hate it. I liked the I thought... Let me put it this. The direction that the sequel took with its story, not bad. But maybe if it could have, been more decent and such, maybe almost at the same level as the first one, with good animation, pretty good, decent... animation in the sequel and such. I also recall that there were a few times that the lip sync was a bit off. It didn't quite match. I know that. No, I don't think not entirely in Hoodwink 2, but just a little bit. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about too. How? How is that even possible? And I do not recall, not once, that in the first Hoodwink film there was bad lip sync to the voices. You know what I mean? Because that's what's important, Having to animate the right lip sync to the voice. That's what's important, especially in animation, okay? The lip reading, the lip sync, and so on, yeah. There was a little bit of it that was off in the sequel of Hoodwinked. I'm just saying. Maybe you saw it too and noticed it like I did. Also, yeah, because, well, in the sequel, the references that they would make, most notably, like, say, when we would see the bunny again, Boingo, yeah, I think I am saying his name right, that Andy Dick once again voiced in the sequel, well, because when the wolf, Red, and Twitchy, they met him to get some information about what was going on in the sequel, well, because... meeting him in prison, but his cell in the same look and style as Dr. Hannibal Lecter. And obviously, yeah, because them doing a parody of Silence of the Lambs, it's so freaking obvious. How many other times have we seen parodies of them, like, doing the same, like, looking styled cell and such, you know, with that window and those holes. Well, I can also recall in Sam and Cat, if anybody remembers that, the spin-off of both iCarly and Victorious. When it came to Super Psycho, where Nora came back, that episode was definitely, like, doing, like, a parody and such of Silence of the Lambs. And when it came to, say, Sam and Cat meeting with Neville to get some information about Nora, his cell, in the exact same style as Hannibal Lecter, not to mention the same guy from Silence of the Lambs that was in charge of that prison, you know, and giving Clarice information and so on. Same guy, same actor. That's amazing. Yeah, even my mom knew this too. But yeah, also because Hoodwinked 2, because like I said, I thought that the animation to Hoodwinked 2 pretty good, but yeah, and also because the songs that were in Hoodwinked 2, I didn't think they were that bad too. Some of them being catchy, and you know, I think the same goes for some of the songs in the first Hoodwinked film. Some of them being catchy. I can think of, say, the one where Wolf's side of the story, from his point of view, and when he chases Red, that song that plays 1, 2, you know, looking for you, ready or not, here I come, don't you run away. I thought that was catchy. So, but yeah, a lot that Doug had to say about the first Hoodwink film. Understandable, and nice to see that he really didn't, like, bash on it or anything like that. Because, yeah, it is understandable on the first Hoodwink film. Nothing god-awful or anything like that, but it is what it is, and it can be enjoyable. Again, like what Doug had to say. Couldn't have said it better than myself than Doug, you know. If there's anything else to point out, well, I don't know. I will say, because, you know, I'm sure you know, because, you know, What's-in-Face, the Weinstein Company, them distributing this, well, you know, at least they managed to, because they usually, the Weinstein Company, even the Weinstein brothers, you know, I hate to bring them up, but it's true when I say this, they were quite good at, you know, getting out movies where, you know, most of them, like some of them that they did, they turned out to be really big successes. Like Good Will Hunting, for example. Come on, like that's a biggie right there. You know, strangely enough, because, like, at the time, the Weinstein brothers, they were, I think they technically owned, yeah, because were they like CEOs or something of Miramax? I think, yeah, but, you know, it's funny because this just popped in my head. Miramax, it had nothing to do with the Lord of the Rings films, because, well, the Weinstein brothers, they were producers of the Lord of the Rings films, and yet Miramax at the time had no involvement. That was weird, but, you know. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, because around the time when Hoodwinked was being made and when it came out, that was when the Weinstein Company was born. But, yeah, anyways. But, you know, again, nice to see that, you know, they helped out get this movie out worldwide and such, and where Hoodwink is today. I mean, you know, because over time, I'm pretty sure it's gotten some appreciation and so on, and I'd like to point out, I'm not rooting like the Weinstein bro. I'm just saying, and how I'm putting at it. Come on, bear with me. Just, you know, don't think I don't know. Okay, just yeah. Anyways, so yeah. But overall, the Nostalgia Critic's review of the first Hoodwinked film, not bad. It's understandable, and with what he had to say, yeah, well said. So, what about you guys? What did you think of the Nostalgia Critic video itself, his review on the first Hoodwinked film? Any of you that grew up, you know, watching and seeing the first Hoodwinked film, like any of you by any chance saw this when it came out in theaters, or when it came out later on DVD, on TV? That especially goes for me, because when I did get around to watching it the first time, it was on TV, most notably Cartoon Network. You know, did you own a DVD copy of it, and how do you feel on the sequel? I'd really like to know. Any of you, by any chance, like me, like it and such, and like what I said earlier, what are some of your favorite moments from the first Hoodwinked film? Anything you agree and disagree with what Doug had to say? But I think, overall, all that he had to say on the first Hoodwinked film, yeah, pretty understandable, and but yeah, just overall, what do you think of the Nostalgia Critic video itself, his review on the first Hoodwinked film, and with what I've had to say, my reaction, and yeah, what did you think of my reaction? Leave comments and give this reaction video a like, as always. And so, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my reaction to the Nostalgia Critic video of his review of the first Hoodwinked film. More reaction videos are coming your way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I will see you guys in the next video / reaction. Take care. Happy anniversary to the first Hoodwinked film, and peace out. You've been hoodwinked, baby!